There we are. We're recording, and I'm gonna make you a co-host, Lolo.
Perfect.
There we
Thank
are. Just in case you need to share your screen too.
Yeah.
All right. We're recording this call because, as usual, we're putting up the recordings in the Notion kit, which we're going to be talking more about today. So all of these are there. It's on a YouTube. It's a YouTube link, so it's easier for you guys to watch. Every single time we have a call, it's going to be up there. So don't worry. All right. So let's do an icebreaker, a really quick one. I hope that more people joined us throughout the. Yes, more people joined us. All right. So what we're going to do for this icebreaker, so that we can do it quickly, we already sort of know each other's names. We've met a couple of times. I want you guys to go on the chat box. So open up the chat box, and I'll give you a minute to answer the question from last week, which was week 1 of this program. What is one thing that you've learned, whether that is the best thing that you've learned or the best practice that you were able to realize through week 1? So go over there on a chat box. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be a whole paragraph. It could be one sentence. It could be simple that, oh, I learned how to use Notion, or I know I learned that this topic is a really, really relevant topic in our community, or it could be something about the homework that I found out that there was an organization working on this topic and we got to reach out to them, etc., etc. So I'll give you 1 minute. Please do put in. It could be anything. Don't be shy. Anything you've learned, anything that struck you in the first week, or if not, even maybe a challenge that you want to share. So either challenge or a learning from week 1. I'll give you 1 minute. Someone there, the value was contribution. I thought someone answered it, but it was Lauren. Yes, last week it was about contribution. It's about collaborating. All right, we're waiting for some answers. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being the first person. You learned that homeless issues and mental health goes hand to hand and should be taken into consideration. Super valuable. That's so interesting. And how did you learn about this, Elizabeth? If you could just unmute yourself quickly, what got you to this realization?
I guess Lauren spoke about that in our last session last week, and it didn't come to mind till she mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, we should, when we're considering homeless issues, we should also think about mental health for those people too. Although it's something that involves everybody, but Lauren actually mentioned that point, and it struck me like lightning. Thank you, Lauren.
That's so awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing. I definitely agree. And I'm glad it struck you like lightning. That's what we hope for everybody. Anybody else? Any other sharing? Let's get everybody to do it. Notion and Slack has been a good tool to organize everything. Super awesome. That's great. We're glad that it's useful for you guys. At any point, we asked you guys if we want to move to another platform, we can always adapt. But we're happy that it's very useful, because that is a topic we're going to be talking about today too. Pascaline said, in Belgium, since it's already working, I will share something I learned about our program. I read the program about agriculture yesterday and was super interesting. I had new ideas. Do you want to maybe share one of those new ideas you realized from reading through the agriculture part? Pascaline?
Yeah. So, and Pascaline, maybe can you share a little bit about what has happened in Belgium and the situation and which program you launched, etc.? Like, give us a retext on your own experience.
Yeah, of course. I don't know if Lucas already talked about the different program we launched, or no? Okay, so we launched 4 programs, but now it's more about 3 programs relating to planet in general. So we have one about preserving biodiversity and like creating hostel for insects, and like for I don't know how you say insect in English, but like for like the small
bugs.
Yes, exactly. And then we have one about agriculture, so agroecology, agroforestry, etc., and why it's important to eat more like local food and seasonal food. And the last one is about your carbon footprint, and it's in general giving a lot of actions that you can put in your on a regular basis at home and in your neighborhood about your consumption, mobility, energy, and food. So that's the free program.
That's so cool. These are topics that are definitely so relevant, very environmental as well. And I'm glad you guys are exploring this. So thank you so much for sharing. We have a couple more. So if anybody wants to catch up, just feel free to type anything in, whether that's a learning or a challenge. Feel free to share anything or anything you just want to share if there's feelings. But Annie said something really interesting, which is she learned that there are several organizations that they could potentially partner with. Really happy about this, that you guys are already reaching out to potential partners. But she also said it's better to focus on helping in their own neighborhood rather than having a citywide focus. Then they could activate people neighborhood by neighborhood. And maybe as a last sharing moment, Annie, you could share with us what led you to this. Was it talking to the partner that led you to the realization you should focus on the neighborhood? Or is it just something that you realized as you were researching about the topic?
Hi, everybody. I'm based in Berlin, and my teammate Sandra and I just kind of realized it just discussing and thinking about the topic, because we do live in the same neighborhood, and though there are homeless people all over, there are certain specific areas where the community is larger, and so we thought, it might be easier to maybe focus exactly where we live, and then that could be a more sustainable way to have community involvement, where people it's just about making the community more involved long term and helping take care of each other. So yeah, if we start where we are, then maybe we figure out what works, then it will be easier to spread and share and grow those strategies to other parts of the city.
Thanks so much for sharing, Annie. Definitely relevant. And I think that's one of the reasons why we really emphasize the fact of having teammates is so helpful, just because you have that bouncing, that wall to bounce off your ideas from, and also to collaborate these different things. It's much harder to do that by yourself than when you're with others. And there's a lot more input that you can provide as well if there's more of you in the team. So that's so cool. If I could just read some of the other things that were shared. Shakira, yeah?
Yeah. Anouk, maybe can you share about the situation that you have in Dakar, and maybe the challenges that you posted on Slack are super interesting because I think everyone can relate. So yeah, if we can share and maybe try to find solutions together, that would be awesome.
Yes, thank you, Lorraine. So I'm Anouk from the Senegal team. And so the thematic we've chosen was to help the street children. It's a particular situation in Senegal because the street children are employed by Quranic schools that deviate the way they treat the children, and some of those children are obliged to beg in the streets to get access to food and some money. So we decided to focus on that thematic, and we reached out with an association, a local association that works on that subject, on protecting the children's rights and giving them access to basic needs. And one of the challenge we had was to explain the program to them, as we don't know yet really what's the content of the program, how it will happen. And the main thing we did was to overcome this challenge was to say that it will be a win-win partnership, as maybe as they know Make Sense is international, they might have a think we would give them money or something, but we show that it will be win-win partnership, and that we will share with them the reaction recipe that permitted to mobilize millions of citizens around the world during the COVID crisis. So as we don't know yet exactly where we're going with this program, we just know that there's a special recipe that we'll be sharing with the partners.
Super interesting, Yannick. I think it's your comment was really interesting in terms of like, we don't know yet what exactly we're going to put in the program, so it's hard to convince the partner because they are supposed to help you build the program actually, and so sometimes it can be difficult to convince someone, but I think you're doing the right thing by showing the previous impact of reaction, which like made it possible to engage hundreds and thousands of citizens all over the world to engage on certain thematics. So I think it's good to relate on this and to explain to the potential partner that it worked in other countries, and that right now everything is to build with them. So to have this very like co-constructive approach. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Having a special translator here. Yeah. So thank you very much, Anouk. I think it's super interesting to hear more about this. But maybe before we congratulate everyone for the work that you've been doing, because it's impressive just to read like the challenges that you're facing, which shows that you've put a lot of time and energy in this. So I know it can be a bit blurry sometimes, that you don't know exactly the content of the program, you don't know where it's going, but at least you're trying so hard and you're contacting every like kind of partner possible and thinking about the thematic that much. I think it's super important in the process of like choosing actually the challenge that you want to tackle. So congratulations.
Yes, a big round of applause. You guys should clap for yourselves. We're super proud.
Yeah.
Super cool. I think well, Lauren's already rebounded a lot on what Anouk mentioned, but I want to highlight something you said, Anouk, which was that you really highlighted to them that it is a win-win situation, that it's not going to be just us giving them work or them going to be giving us work, but there's really value for both ends of the party, which is super important, because then they don't see you as just, oh, it's just another volunteer program, or it's just another one of those organizations. It's really co-building, just what Lauren said, this program with them. So that's great. This is something that we were talking about last week, if you guys remember. How do we pitch it to potential partners? How do we pitch a reaction, even if it's not finished yet, to potential teammates or to other organizations? So I'm so glad you guys got to apply this already. And so maybe we wrap up the icebreaker, Lauren. I think we're past 10 minutes. Okay. So let me just read on the last one. Shakira shared that she learned 2 more Make Sense trainings during a boot camp. Super awesome. And Mamadou also mentioned that he's very happy that there's a sharing of diverse experiences and there's collective work, which is really all about what this rollout is and what Make Sense is about. All right, so I know we took a little bit longer than the icebreaker, but it's really important that we all share. So just quickly, rules for this call as usual. If you could keep your microphones mute while someone's talking, that would be nice. But anytime you have any questions, or if especially you want to share, feel free to unmute. Please be present, stay until the end. And if you could you kindly rename yourself as well to your nickname and your country, just so we know who's present in this call. And if you're talking, so we know where you're coming from. All right, so please do rename yourself. All right, for this week, I'm going to hand over the floor to Lauren to explain week number 2's value. So she already mentioned it. The value for last week was really about collaboration, and now it is benevolence. So can you tell us a bit more about that, Lauren?
Yes, so it has been a value of Make Sense since the creation of Make Sense. Can you put the next slide, please, Pablo? Awesome. Yeah, so for some of you who know about Make Sense, who have known about us in the past, one of our big values is be kind always. And I wanted to take 1 minute to talk about this today, because I think it's super important to have this value in mind during the whole program that you're going to be launching and developing, because it has to deal with like the interactions between people of your team, with your partners, with the volunteers, etc. And so benevolence is two things. We have worked on this value a lot with some people of the community to try to define what it means. And so what I want to share with you is like, be kind always is not being how do you say hypocrite?
A pushover?
Sorry?
A pushover, not,
hypocritical, like not being hypocritical, not being true and honest. It doesn't mean that you have always to be nice in terms of like, I want to seem nice even if I don't feel like nice inside. So it's two different things. The first one is we believe in the importance of diversity, of the intrinsic value of every human being, and that every person deserves to be treated with respect. So I think this is something that maybe you have in mind, but you have to remind that it's not worldwide as a common value, and that this is the basis of every interaction that you can have with people, is like treating everyone with respect and considering them along the way. And the second one is that we believe that treating others kindly is also nearly always more constructive, even in strong disagreements. So it doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything that someone is saying, that you have to agree on every opinion, on every topic. We believe in diversity, and I think it's what makes the world like very rich. But the goal is that even when you have a disagreement, be kind always is the value to remind yourself that you can tell stuff without hurting the person in front, and relating more to what you feel and what does this debate makes you feel within. And so the goal is really that you have also that in mind, because maybe along the way you have some friction with some people, and with your teammates, for example, because you don't manage to agree on something, because you think something should be done differently, etc. But the goal is also to help you tackling those issues, so trying to resolve conflicts if there are some conflicts or just tensions, with training on nonviolent communication and how to give feedbacks, etc. So we're preparing some videos also for you, so that you are able to learn, if you don't know those kind of methodology, to give a feedback to someone when they tell you something or when they do something that is hurting you. And this is super important in every human relation, I believe, but also when you're working collectively at like 5 or 4 or 6 people on a group, for example, like you're going to be doing. And it's a good value to keep in mind for the rest of your program, with your partners, with your teammates, but also with your volunteers. So this is just something that I wanted to share. Do you have any questions or maybe testimony and something that happens to you where this value was useful in the previous programs? I don't know, in Belgium, if you had some issues, Pascaline, or never? No, not that much? Okay. So just to keep in mind, and we'll try to, as I was saying, give you some video training about this more precisely. Okay, now let's dive in week 2. So you've received an email last Saturday, I think. Did everyone receive the email? Just so that I know if we forgot someone in the mailing list, now is the moment to tell it. So if you haven't received, just write in the chat and I will do the necessary. Okay, so you've received your email. Next slide, Pepper. And so, but the objectives of the week, this week, the goal is that you continue your action of the first week, trying to talk with partner and really deciding on the thematic and the angle of the thematic that you want to choose. So keep in mind that every week we are adding stuff, but that doesn't mean that that you finished the test of the last week. We know you are still trying to find a partner, etc., and it's normal. It's not possible to do that just in 1 week. So we know you're still working on it, but the goal is that every week we give you more information so that you are able to launch your program on week 5. So the objectives of this week is that you understand the internal structure of the program. So really, when we say a 2-week program, how does it go? What are the different steps that are going to leave the participants so that you are able to project yourself and to start building the content? Secondly, you'll get familiar with the tools we'll be using during the program. So I have with me Tom, who will be able to tell you more about the tools that we are using. And if you are at this point in the program, you can start writing content. We are building templates that you can just copy paste and then adapt to your own thematic, your own context, and everything. So the resources that we've built is a notion on the structure of the program to detail a little bit more every part of the program so that you really understand everything. And then another section on Notion where we describe all the tools that we'll be using along the way so that you are familiar with them. So it's okay if you don't remember everything because some of the tools that we're showing you this week, you only use them in like 2 or 3 weeks. We just wanted you to give you the global vision about the tools so that you know exactly which one we'll be using at which moment of the program. Okay, do you have any questions on this? No, it's clear? Okay, so now we're going to dive into two different parts for this call. The first one is I'm going to talk more about the structure of the program, and then Tom here will show you more about the tools that we'll be using. Next slide. Oh. Okay, so about the structure of the program. The goal is here that I wrote a lot of stuff on Notion about the structure of the program, but to give you maybe a 3-minute recap of everything I wrote. So as you know, the program lasts 2 weeks and every day the participants receive emails. They have a WhatsApp group where they are able to share and discuss. They have webinar, not webinars, but like Zoom sessions where they discuss about the program, the actions that they have been doing and the successes that they encounter, the challenges, etc. And that's it. That's already a lot. And so what I was describing in the Notion is the different parts that participants can go through the program. This is based on the learnings that we have from the programs in France and in the Philippines also. We worked during the summer on like kind of a structure on the 2 weeks that could be a good one to adapt to how people actually get to action. So this is what we want to do. The objective of every program that you're launching is that the participants actually get to action during the program. That we agree, I think, on. And so what we've noted in the different programs is that for some participants, they are really familiar already with the topic, and some it's like the first time that they're going to get engaged on the topic. So to have everyone on a like good balance of information on the program, it's always good to start the program with an exploration about the thematic, which means the first 2 days, like the emails can be focused on more information about the thematic that you're going to tackle. So if you take the example of like street children, like you were talking, Anouk, for the program in Dakar, maybe information about what's the situation today, like how many kids do we have in the streets, what are the challenges that we are facing, etc., so that people understand the thematic that they're going to tackle before actually getting to action. It's like preparing them for action with giving them information about why it's important to do those actions. You know, it's like if you try to divide on the different steps that makes you get to action, it's really important for some people, not everyone, but for some people, to understand why they are doing the action. So this is the first part. Then you have the getting to action. The heart of the program is really we are going to offer you and suggest you actions to do based on the expertise of the partner, as we were talking last week. And so for this, what is super important is that in the actions that you are going to suggest, you explain different things. First, the what and the why. So as I was saying, I think it's super important for every action that you're going to suggest to participants to explain why you are doing it, why you are offering this action to do this day. So I know it can be sometimes like quite obvious, like why do we collect hygiene kits for people who are living in the streets? Like it seems pretty obvious, but it's always good to add, even if it's 1 or 2 sentences on the why. Like really, why today is it a topic? Why do people in the street need those kind of kits? why do people in like strict children need this kind of action, etc. But the goal is really to be pedagogical with this program and not just to like put actions in their head and that's it. Sorry. So the why and the what. So explain the action. So this is what you're supposed to be writing in the emails and the Notion kit, is really to describe the actions. And then I added another section on the how. So it's something just to describe the action very simply, but you have to guide the participants all along the way. So if I say collecting hygiene kits, what we noticed, for example, in the program in France, on the first weeks, was that we had the same questions coming every week from the participants. What is a hygiene kit? What do I put in it? How do I convince my neighbor to collect hygiene kits? How do I convince the manager of the local shop, the supermarket down my street to convince, etc.? And so what we build is like kits and guides to do those actions. And this is very, very important in this program, because the promise that we're giving to participants is that they're going to be guided to action. That's why they are coming. That's why they are joining the program, the reaction program, is because they want to be guided to action. And so the kits and the guides are a super important part on how do we get people to action, is by explaining them every little step that they have to take to do this action. The goal is to show them that it's possible and that it's not difficult. It's like they can do it, like it's empowering also them to get to action. And then the last part is sensitization. And so the goal is also that they feel responsible, or they feel they can be an ambassador of having more people joining the program, but also being sensitized to this thematic. And so sharing on social media, inviting their friends or their family to join the program, etc. But this part of sensitization is more, I have understood the thematic, I have taken actions during the program. Now it's my turn also to create this snowball effect. And to convince my friends to join the program, but also to talk about the thematic and the importance of acting on the thematic. I don't know if I'm clear or not, or if you get everything that you're saying. Do you have any questions on those different steps? Do you understand a little bit the process and why we are taking those different steps? Any particular comment on this?
Any questions, guys? All of this is provided in a Notion, but
yeah,
maybe even it might be different the way it's going to look like for each person. Maybe you're not going to put it in an email. I don't know if, for example, the people from Asia are going to go with email or Facebook or WhatsApp. So you can definitely adapt to the context, but really what Lauren is trying to emphasize is we're trying to guide them and show them that it's easy and we can get you on board really quickly, but also to take that interest and develop it into something that really makes them very excited to be part of the program. So these things underneath, by the way, these are just words, days of the week. So you just have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, for people in Asia who don't speak.
Yeah, sorry.
I also didn't notice it. I was like, oh, I didn't notice. But this is just, well, it means every single day there's an email and there's a discussion that you're going to do with the participants, especially your first volunteers.
Sorry, yeah. Pepper, can you open the link that I just shared on the chat? It's just to show you, so on the Notion, what you have as different sections to describe the structure of the program is suspense. Okay, it's just, so what I have described is like the email, the WhatsApp, the video calls, and the Notion kits. And so it's the tools, but also the objective of each tool that we're going to send. Yeah, so exactly. So if you go down a little bit, I've put like the different information about the different phases that I explained, then the emails, then the Notion kits, and what are the objectives of each tool and why are they the one that we chose for the structure of the program. Okay, that's it. So if you don't have any more questions on this, we'll give the mic to Tom, who will talk about the different tools that we're going to use during the program. Tom? Hi, Tom.
Hello, everyone.
Can you introduce yourself and explain what you do at Make Sense?
So I work on the digital team of Make Sense, based in France, but we're helping support for all the international teams. And I'm helping Lorraine on the reaction program since we started it in France, and then trying to help and support the international teams. First, really trying with everything that we could, but with not much support, and now we're trying to structure it with this program too. So we'll hopefully be more able to help you through each step of the program. So here are the two tools that we're using. Some of them you won't be using them straightforward from today. So we're presenting them today, but there is no hurry. Just take your time through the different steps of the program, and don't be afraid to contact us later if the tool is not needed today. So on the same documents as Lauren already helped you with through the partner research and everything. If you click here, you'll be able to see it, but it's another spreadsheet. It's the same spreadsheet, but it's another sheet of the spreadsheet where you can fill in a few informations on your program when it's ready. So the name of your program and a small paragraph to describe it. That way we can create for you the subscription form for the participants, and you can also choose for to get an email address for your country if you want to have a common reaction email address for everyone to be able to access it and to do support, or to have an email address having the @makesense.org for to share to partners, for example. And then the other blocks in red are for me to be filled in. So depending on the first information that you will give me, I'll create the different links for you for the different tools. And now I'll explain each tool, and you'll understand why you will have a link for the different tools. So we can go to the next slide. Perfect. So the first tool is Typeform. Typeform is going to be a form for every participants who want to join the reaction program in your country. So depending on the text and the name of your program, we'll create the Typeform, and we'll give you one link that you can share to anyone who wants to subscribe to the program. This for now we have a general Typeform, so you can see the structure of the actual Typeform in English. It's a completely global one, taking back the structure of the French questions, and we'll keep the questions large for every country, but we'll change the definition of the program and what's the topic of the program for each country, of course. So when I have the information, I'll send you back the link for your program. The next Airtable, the Airtable will create a view. So from this subscription form, we'll collect all the subscriptions, and we'll provide you access to see the subscription of the participants of your program in your country. So we're collecting all the data, and in the Typeform, you'll see there's one question to ask the participants if he's allowing us to share this information with the volunteers of the program. So you'll have the responsibility of this data too. So that means you, the participants is allowing you to view this data, which is the email address, the first name, the last name, and the phone number to be able to join him in a WhatsApp group. So it's not very it's private data, but it's not considered as dangerous data. So don't be too much worried, but take care of all of the data you'll be able to see. And you'll be able to view this data through a unique link on an Airtable view, where you can view the different datas and this view will be locked by a password that only your team will be having access to, of course. So next, WhatsApp. I think you all probably know this tool, but it will be enabling you to contact all the participants to create a group for each batch of participants. And when you create a batch, what will be typical is there will be one mobilizer and a list of participants, and the list of participants will be sent when the batch is created to the mobilizer, so he can create the WhatsApp group. Then next. So Gmail, you can have your own Gmail account for your whole team. You can choose on the Canvas spreadsheet the name you want. So reaction/country. If you want to put the country name in English, or if you want to put it in French, or if you want to put it in German, or if you want to put it in your own language, as you choose, completely free. Once you tell me which email address you want, we'll create it, and it will be accessible for your whole team through the password we'll create. Next. Then you have the drive access. For now, you already have normally all the drive access to have all the documents that Lauren is creating for you. But you can create in this specific spot a file for yourself, for your team, to put all the documents that you have with partners, or any specific content that you want to keep, the creation of your email or working documents for your team. Don't hesitate to use this drive and create your own folder for your country. And next. And so those are the video, video conferencing tools that you can use to plan your meetings. So thanks to the email address that we'll create, the @makesense.org email address, you'll be able to use Meet from the Google Suite tools, and this will enable you to plan meetings for your team, but also with the participants. The specificity is that with the @makesense.org, you can have a capacity of 200 people welcome in the conference room. So it's useful for the launching call and for the closing call, for example, if you want to use it. And the only constraint is that one person must be connected to the link with the @makesense.org address, and we'll have to accept the participants, as Pepper was doing at the beginning of the call for Zoom too. And the Zoom access, unfortunately, we don't have a Zoom account for every program, but what's used in France, for example, is we explain to the mobilizers how they can use a free Zoom account. The only constraint is it's only available for a small batch of people. So for the 20 people of your batch, it's usually sufficient, and it's for 40 minutes calls. But as the call during the weeks are generally between half an hour and 40 minutes, they can use this. Next. Notion, I think, was explained a little bit thanks to Lauren, but you'll have a template that was structured by Lauren, who enables you to create all the day of the week content, day by day. And you will be able to duplicate this kit to create your own Notion for your country, for the participants of the program, so they can find back the resources, they can see all the actions, and if you want to share more content than in the emails, that way the emails are kept short, and the Notion is available for participants who want to go further or stuff like that.
So we've created a template of this Notion kit, and if you click on this one, you'll find we started writing like some description and some suggestion of like a structuration for the whole like day by day. Of course, this is a template. Yeah, thank you, Pepper. And so you are able to play with Notion. It's a very, as some of you maybe have been starting to use it, it's a very cool platform where you can do a lot of different stuff. And so this is just a suggestion. And so please feel free to like play with it and add your own touch with it. So for example, yeah, if you take day 2, this is just a structure that I suggested. Is more like describe the action of the day and explain the how, like add a nice and encouraging sentence every day so that they feel like reassured, etc. And if you go back to the home screen, to the welcome page, yeah. Perfect. Here I have added like a small description that you can put, but of course you can change the picture, you can change the emoticons, you can change everything. This is your program. So really, this is just a basis for you to be able to work on. And if we go back to, yeah.
Perfect. And just next. And so then, for of course the emails of the whole program, you'll be able to create them on a platform that's programs.makesense.org. So it's you will all have your own campaign with the different emails of the week, where you can schedule the emails. So saying which emails go first and which emails go last, and then on. As for the templates, there's going to be a layout that you can play with, and you can create your own emails for every day of the week with the content that you wish, and with the basis of the layout that you can change depending on the thematics of your program.
Yeah, and similarly, we're going to create a template and send it to you tomorrow morning on like a template of a campaign of emails with like a basis that we've built from the program in the Philippines and in France on like how do you welcome people, what do you write in the first email, how do you give incentives for people to get to action, and add like small reassuring sentences all over the weeks. And similarly, this is a basis, this is a template, and the goal is that you can feel free to edit them, but on the emails our recommendation is really keep them short and really clear on like, this is the action of the day, this is the resources that you're going to get. And if they want to know more, they go on the Notion kit where you have all the description, but emails should be like short, encouraging and motivating. But all the descriptions of the actions are on the Notion kit.
And so when you're done with your campaign, we'll be sending the emails automatically to the whole participants of the week. And the campaign will stay active for you to edit it if you want to improve it from one edition of a program to the next one, and that's enabled, but keeping you the first layout that you built, and you can keep improving it on the same campaign for the next batches. So that's next. That's I think the whole list of the tools. So that was probably a few different tools and maybe a lot of information, but no worry, because we've created a Notion where you can, so next on the Notion, you can see there's a part in the Notion reaction rollout. There's the list of the tools. I've done a few videos with the tutorials of the tools, so you can watch them whenever you want and whenever you're ready on the different parts of the program. So for each tool, when you click on the one of the tool, you can see if there's a small tutorial or if it's just a small description of how to use it, where you can find it. I've kept it short, and if you have specific question, so back on the slide, there is a Slack channel that is kept open where I'm on it, and where you can have, whenever you're needing it, come on this, join this Slack channel and tag @Tom makes sense, and I'll answer your questions on reaction, rollout, tool support. So that's it for the tools for now, but really it's a few of those tools, you won't need them today, but take the time you need and discover them again on the Notion, show them to the rest of your group, for those who are not on the Zoom right now, through the Notion kit, and don't hesitate to come to the channel to ask for more videos if you need videos, or for just specific question if you need.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Tom. I think just to tie it all in a bow, to go back to why are we explaining all of these different tools and platforms to you guys, it's really in preparation for launching the program. So all of these different things are going to help you with being very what do you call this? Be very efficient in all the things that you're going to do so that it's not manually done. And so we've provided these things for you guys all for free. So none of them is really going to be paid, so that you can already use them the moment we launch your programs. And so we really recommend that with everything that Tom mentioned, that you already play around and familiarize yourself, especially if it's not a platform you've used before, because it really will help. And it might feel a little bit intimidating in the beginning, especially if you've never used Notion, for example. I know Notion's not something that's super familiar here in Asia, but it's really, really going to help you guys with efficiency. And hopefully this really does help with launching.
And most of those tools, well, I think all of those tools are really supposed to be kept flexible. And so that's really depending on how you want to use them. So no stress and no panic, just discover them and play around, as Pepper said, and find the way you want to use it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hello?
Is there any questions on those tools, on what objectives do they serve, on like the structure of the program? We have 5 minutes left, so the goal is that it's like the most clear. This is not English, anyways. That it's clear for you. So yeah. Any questions that you have when hearing everything?
I do. Is the language always in English, or will we have different languages?
Everything is in English for now. Like the templates that we're building, everything is in English for now.
But you can like it's in English for you to be able to understand it. But if you
Yes.
you prefer to use them for the participants in another language, you can translate the different parts. It's just that English is the language for us to be the most common for you. But then if you want to adapt it in another language, it's completely free and open. But like the language of the support for the tool will be kept in English. But
yeah, of course.
In it, you can change the language.
If you want to create like emails in German, in Italian, in any language that you want, of course, this is up to you.
Any other question, guys? We still have space for a few more. Are you excited to use these platforms? Hopefully you are. Are we really that clear with the calls? We usually get more questions indeed, but yeah. No?
Okay.
I'm sure I'll have some questions once I actually start using them, but for now it seems clear. Thank you.
Okay. So the goal is that with all like everything that you started to build last week and to reflect on, the goal is that when you feel ready, you start building your content. And so for this, you have all the templates that we've talked about, the email template and the Notion template. And this is something that you're going to be working for the next 3 weeks until you launch your program. So don't hesitate to already start writing things, even if it's not perfect, if it's not ready. It's just like ideas that you can put like step by step all along the way. But really the goal is that you get familiar with this, and so don't hesitate to start playing. Next slide, Pepper. I think I wrote. Yes, this is what I wanted to talk about. So you've been building your own national teams for 1 week now. And I just wanted to give a little bit of advice on how you can structure your team for the rest of the program. So next slide. So the goal is to have like one team, one dream. We like this expression a lot. That makes sense because that's what we are trying to push all the time, even if we are all over the world, even if we are working on different topics, etc. But to feel that you are one team heading towards impact in your city or your country. So to be like one team, even if you're doing different stuff during the week, keep in mind that you have the same objective, which is engaging citizens on one thematic. So a few advice. First one is create rituals. Some of you have started already to do it, but don't hesitate to set a date on your agenda every week where you'll be meeting, even if it's like for 30 minutes or 15 minutes, just to agree on who's doing what over the week, who takes responsibility for this task, etc. And then don't hesitate if at some point you feel you can't be doing everyone like all the time, to divide tasks. So it could be an option that some of you in the team work more on like the partners and I don't know, the definition of some actions. Some other will be more focused on like actually writing the content because they like to write, because they know how to create like interesting content and you know, graphic design, etc. Some maybe will be more focusing on, so next week the topic will be communication, and so maybe some people will be like only focusing on how do we communicate around the program, how do we create visuals, etc. So don't hesitate to already start doing it, because it will be less work for everyone. It will be more focused on like dividing tasks, and this can help you to be more efficient in building your own program. Pascaline, maybe you want to share in 1 minute how you organize how you organize the team in Belgium.
Yeah. So at first we all did via WhatsApp, but now we created a Slack because it was really complicated. And yeah, it was a bit like the mess. So I would say that the earlier you organize and divide the task among yourselves, the best it would be. So now we have one person on the communication, one that is developing partnerships, and two that are more like doing the operational tasks, like sending emails, WhatsApp groups, and also that are support members.
Super cool. Okay, thank you, Pascaline. And so yeah, about the training, so we will provide this week videos on how to get organized when you're working when you're working like teamwork, like we're working at 5 or 6 on the same program. How do we do that? And how to share feedbacks. So it's not a training properly about nonviolent communication, but more how do you share feedback with someone, which can be positive or constructive, but how do you share feedbacks? And for the community, the nonviolent communication, we'll probably more do a 1-hour training with our expert in this, who is Tino, who works at Make Sense. And because nonviolent communication, it's hard to be trained just with like a 5-minute video. It's a lot of practice and of things that you have to understand and just ask questions about. So yeah, maybe we'll more do something like this on the week where we'll train you to be mobilizers. Okay. Any good practice, just 1 minute left maybe, any good practices on how you organize your team in the different countries? Have you started to do already some team meetings, organizing calls, anything you want to share as a good practice? Maybe in Portugal, someone in Portugal wants to talk about how you share news, you divide tasks. Sonia or Reda? Francesca?
If you're too shy, you can always just type it in.
So basically, we didn't start yet dividing the tasks. Everyone is like trying to find a partner right now. So, but for now, we don't have so much feedback from them. So basically, we're still trying to search, but it would be cool in the future to, maybe split the tasks because, as you said, there is more content. So we'll be needing to share tasks in the future, obviously.
Okay, thank you, Reda. Okay, everyone, awesome. It's 1:03 in France. So we're gonna end this call. And before that, of course, we're gonna take a group picture. But if you have questions on anything, of course, don't hesitate to ask them. You have the Slack channel, you have the WhatsApp group with the people in Europe. Pepper, I don't know if you created a Facebook group or a Facebook
Ours is
group.
a Facebook group.
Okay, for the people in Asia. So we are here to help you. So don't hesitate to solicit us and to ask us if you have challenges along the way. Okay, let's take a picture. So if you can turn on your camera, that would be awesome. If you can't, just give us a